那么我们介绍第一位嘉宾的话是来自美国的安德鲁·贝拉维亚。那么他今天演讲的题目是新技术盘点抗衡非处方助听器带来的负面影响。那么呢 ，Andrew， 其实我们也喊他 Andy， 他曾经在楼氏电子担任的是全球市场开发总监，负责的是动铁扬声器在可听带听力设备、助听器以及音乐耳机市场的运用。他本人拥有电气工程学士学位和 MBA 的学位。Andy 活跃在可听带领域和听力健康领域，拥有的跨界思维让他对听力健康领域有着独到的见解。那么他今天的演讲的话，基于一个点，就是因为美国的 OTC 法案的话，在去年是终于落地。那么来自于索尼、捷波朗以及惠普等知名消费品牌已经开始试听助听领域。那么讲者将会结合自己在无线音频领域和听力健康领域的所见所知，以及他这次在 CES 2023展会上面看到关于听力健康领域技术的一些新产品，给我们进行一些分享。那么讲者也将就非处方助听器在未来的发展分享自己的一些观点。那么按照往常的习惯，我们会采用播放视频的方式，请稍等一下。
Founder of AuraFuturity, a marketing and branding consultancy for the hearables, hearing health, and broader communication spaces. Previously, I worked in the hearing health tech division of Knowles Corporation, where one of my key areas of focus was consumer hearables and hearing devices from the very beginning. With thanks to the Beijing Society of Audiology for inviting me, it is a pleasure to speak with you now. While I am excited about the recent over-the-counter hearing aid rule adopted here in the USA, especially if it leads to greater accessibility of hearing devices on a global basis, I also believe that emerging technologies in consumer devices will have a greater impact while bypassing the OTC hearing aid rule. This is also because consumer attitudes toward TWS earphones for music are very different than for hearing aids of any kind. Let me explain.
Let's begin with the definition of an over-the-counter hearing aid according to the FDA. An over-the-counter hearing aid uses the same fundamental technology as traditional hearing aids. They're also meant to compensate for perceived mild to moderate hearing loss. And they allow the user to control, and this is important, to customize it to the user's hearing needs. In other words, an over-the-counter hearing aid provides selective amplification at different frequencies to compensate for hearing loss, and that amplification can be controlled by the user in some way. There may be several distinct choices to try, for example, by pushing a button, or there may be a hearing test to program the devices. This is called self-fitting. The definition of an OTC hearing aid is narrow. Devices that help people hear better in certain situations without amplification are not hearing aids. Now, the biggest issue with hearing aids in general is the stigma problem. I'll use one example, a study that had participants in Australia, the United Kingdom, the USA, and Canada. They found that stigma was one of the most pervasively reported barriers to seeking help for hearing problems. The same stigma that prevents some people from getting their hearing loss evaluated by a professional will also prevent them from buying OTC hearing aids, if for no other reason than they are still called hearing aids, and so the stigma problem still applies. My opinion is that consumer products that address hearing as a feature in TWS earphones have a better chance to reach the mass market of people with milder hearing loss. There are several reasons for this, which I will explain. The biggest one is that the problem most experienced by those with hearing loss, even milder hearing loss, is what's called in English the cocktail party problem. People with milder hearing loss may hear perfectly fine in a quiet environment. It's the loud situations, like noisy restaurants, which are the most difficult. So for people with milder hearing loss, the target for OTC hearing aids, improving the speech-to-noise ratio, or SNR, can be more important than selective amplification. There are also people who don't have measurable hearing loss who have difficulty hearing in noise. The National Acoustic Labs, or NAL, did a study that shows just in the United States, there are approximately 25 million people who have hearing difficulty but do not have hearing loss. Hearing aids can help these people because they don't need amplification because they don't have hearing loss. But as the NAL put it, they may benefit from devices that improve the speech-to-noise ratio. Now, if you consider 25 million people in the US and that the US only has about 4% of the world's population, you can see there's a large number of people who can use help with a noise reduction device that cannot be helped by selective amplification. There are already products that are doing that. For example, AirPods Pro has what they call the conversation boost feature, which is primarily directional microphones and also a little noise filtering or noise reduction. And more recently, the audio company Sennheiser introduced the Conversation Clear Plus, which are earbuds that also use classic directional microphones and noise reduction techniques to improve speech audibility in loud situations like restaurants. The NAL measured the performance of AirPods Pro and found that with all the features turned on, the speech-to-noise ratio can be improved by about 7 dB. While this may not be a big improvement, it can be helpful for some people, and new technology that I'll discuss will offer much better performance. The most important thing is that these are not cold hearing aids. There's no stigma associated with buying AirPods or other consumer TWS earphones, although some people may not be comfortable wearing them in a restaurant. The key to solving that problem will be positive messages about wearing earphones in public. There are examples today. For example, recently, Dee Snider, who was the lead singer for the heavy metal rock band Twisted Sister, made a set of amusing video ads for Sennheiser Conversation Clear Plus. This is a perfectly good example of positive messaging around hearing better in social situations that was fun and free of stigma. Another route to stigma-free awareness of hearing is hearing personalization. This is selectively amplifying the streaming music response, not the microphones. Therefore, it's not a hearing aid either. Soundcore never mentions hearing loss, only that everyone's hearing is unique. Take the hearing test, your music will sound better. This is positively reinforcing because people instantly hear the benefit of the hearing test. We can also think of noise reduction as an ANC mode. Adaptive ANC is becoming increasingly popular in consumer TWS earphones. Imagine earphones with adaptive ANC with modes for the metro, on airplanes, outside in the city, and now add to that restaurants. Advanced speech from noise separation techniques will make this possible. Again, no discussion of hearing loss, no stigma, just another ANC mode that makes you hear better in the restaurant, just the same as you would on an airplane. Now, when I mentioned advanced techniques, I'm thinking about machine learning, or ML, speech separation from noise. The big problem with classic ANC in a restaurant is that the noise is other people speaking. It's difficult to reduce the noise without reducing the sound of the person you want to hear, because they both have the same audio spectrum. Directional mics can only do so much. However, advanced machine learning techniques will offer big improvement. You've probably already used ML speech separation, perhaps without knowing it. For example, Microsoft Teams does it in the cloud. The challenge for hearing is to fit it in the ear with low power. We're getting closer. There's already a hearing aid that's using ML speech separation. They're doing it with a separate box called Brain. It's a small device you can fit in your pocket, and the whisper hearing aid will pass the sound from the microphones to the brain and back again to the receivers with low latency and do the speech from noise separation within that small device. The trick, of course, is now to get this within the ear. To do that requires small, low-power processors capable of running a neural network. It also requires efficient software with low enough demand on processing power. Both of these are being developed rapidly on a global basis. And when they finally come to fruition, ML speech separation in the ear will be a revolutionary improvement for hearing in noisy situations. I'll give 3 examples of companies developing neural network chips that can be used in ear. There are more than this, but this will give a good idea of the global effort. The first one is Whitmem out of China. There's also Greenwaves in France and Femtosense in the USA. I'll use Femtosense as an example because I visited them at CES and tried their demo. I'll show the video in which I could hear the speech separation working in a set of headphones. Later, Femtosense put the recorded audio through the same algorithm so I could insert it into the video. What you will hear in the video is the same that I heard in the headphones.
Well, very nice to meet you, Andy.
Nice to meet you as well.
Thank you. Yeah, so we're here at CES 2023 with Femtosense. So we are a AI processor, inference processor, software and algorithms company. So our goal is to make AI edge inference far more efficient, faster, and more cost-effective. So you can actually introduce, new artificial intelligence features into things like, hearables, hearing aids, earbuds, ANC devices, and many more. So what we're showcasing here at CES, we have our chip over here. So this is our, it's very small, so you really have to zoom in. But this chip is designed to be able to bring AI capabilities into things like that I just mentioned. So all the hearables, all the hearing aids. What's really been limiting those products from getting the kinds of features that grab headlines is that the processing power is just not there, and it's too power hungry. So you'll burn your battery in like 10 minutes, even if you did want to do AI. Now with our processor, you should be able to run effectively all the time without compromising the battery life. So we're showing the 1 microphone version of noise cancellation just using the AI processing.
Okay, I want to ask you a question, and that is, in a typical earbud, you have a power budget.
Yes.
And what percentage of the power budget would be consumed by this chip running smart ANC?
Yeah, it's a great question. So the demo we're doing here is about 0.5 milliwatt. So that's 0.5% of a 100 milliwatt battery. And so it's not going to impact the battery life, really.
Yeah, so you can really implement this without a battery life impact. And we're talking about ANC, which I think is a great way to describe it popularly. Mm-hmm. But what you're really doing is speech from noise extraction, correct?
Right, exactly. It's artificial noise, or sorry, active noise cancellation is ANC, but that really cancels everything. In the real world, not everything is noise. Hopefully, Andy is definitely not noise. Hopefully, I'm not noise. And now using AI, you can really analyze the sound as it's coming in live and say, okay, well, that was, cat or dog, or construction, or, a fork touching the plate. And so don't let that through. But now if you're a person, let that person through.
Well, and this is a good point because the restaurant or pub noise, for example, consists of other people talking mostly. So yeah. ANC isn't effective because you're trying to suppress in the same bandwidth as the voice of the person you're trying to talk to.
Exactly.
So that's the whole point of the machine learning extraction technique.
Right, exactly. This is not a new problem. This problem has been around forever. But now it's saying, well, now we have much more powerful tools to tackle this problem. Just so long as we can run it efficiently, right? So we help with the efficient part. We also build the reference sort of algorithms, but now these algorithms are really, analyzing the meaning of the signal that's coming in. It's not just, here's a frequency, let it through or don't. It's not like, okay, this is a person across all these frequencies at this time, let this person through, and don't let, maybe somebody in the background through.
Okay, great. All right, so I'm gonna try the demo. All right, so I'm gonna put the headphones on. This microphone is going to pick up both the room sound and also pub noise, which is going to play through that speaker over there. And this button will turn on the noise extraction.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Let's give it a go.
Well, let's make some noise.
And I have to say, you're not going to experience what I'm experiencing. We'll add that so you can hear it afterwards, but you're going to hear the...
Oh, you hear it now?
Yeah,
all right.
Jackhammer sound or truck.
Right? Okay, so now we're not doing any processing, we're just passing through. And now I'm still getting through, but that I guess is like a expedition or excursion engine noise is really
Yeah,
toned
and
down.
I can still hear it, but it's greatly reduced, so the SNR has gone up a lot.
Exactly. And now the truck is back in.
Truck is back
so
in.
I'm sort of shouting over the truck, and now it's
Right.
so quiet. Yeah.
Play the pub sounds. So
Okay, so we'll do.
Right, that's the big use case.
Okay, so here, very annoying. We have a cup. Tap the table. Right.
Yeah,
so
people
very
talking,
very
coffee
painful.
shop sounds.
And now I can talk. Right. And this cup noise is much toned down. It's really in the background.
And actually, it does a much better job in a coffee shop than it does on a truck.
Yep.
And which is perfectly fine from my point of view, because the loud restaurant case is really the case you're addressing most of all.
Right. Exactly. So.
But even the SNR was greatly improved on the truck too. Yeah.
Yep.
So that was a really compelling demo. Tell me about the implementation timeline. When do you actually expect products to be on the street incorporating your tech?
Well, that's a great question, Andy. So, as you can see, we do have our chips, and now we are actively engaged with multiple potential customers, doing the evaluations, doing the reference designs, doing the prototypes. We're really targeting and trying to get our partners to have these differentiated AI features, so they can be in time for either Christmas or next CES. And hopefully we'll see you there doing demos with their real products. So
I will be
it's very
here.
exciting
I'm
time.
looking forward to it.
Likewise.
Thanks a lot for your time today.
Okay, thank you, Andy.
At CES, I also visited the Danish software company Augmented Hearing. Because they described their algorithm development to fit in-ear, I want to share this video with you as well. Like the previous case, we inserted the noise-reduced audio into the video afterward so you could hear what I heard. Let's watch.
Hi, I'm Michael. This is Martin. We are two of the co-founders in AugmentedHearing.io. So what we do is we build AI models which we squeeze down. They can fit in earbuds, and then they will enhance speech, meaning it will take a voice out of the noise and make it understandable. So maybe I can show you a little demo. This is just an app, but it's essentially the same model we will build into the earbuds, right?
So you're running the algorithm on the phone right now.
Yes.
And it's actually you're not passing any signals back and forth.
No,
you're
no
just
tricks,
charging your
no
phone,
tricks
right?
here.
So the algorithm's running on the phone, but ultimately you're going to implement it in a DSP for use in an earbud.
Yeah. So if I, for example, if I try this out and I speak here and I know there's lots of noise in the background. So my version of the sort of the thing here with this is with background noise, and there's a lot of babble around us. And if I move into the next one here,
it'll be the denoised version.
This will be the denoised version, but it's not just denoise. What happens is it will say, okay, what is my voice like? And it will enhance the actual speech, the phonemes, the contrast, which makes it possible to understand what's being said.
Okay, so you're actually doing denoising and you're also increasing speech clarity.
Yeah, so we're doing AI voice enhancement. So we've trained on lots of different voices, right? I think we started with 50 million or something like this, but we really come down to parameters which are by now like 1 million parameters, 500,000 parameters, 250,000 parameters. So the model is so small now, trained on voices that you can actually fit it into earbuds, right?
And it works with all ranges of voices.
Yes, because it's come across, when we started, there were some deep bass voices which it had never heard, so it would treat that voice as noise. It would say, I don't know what that is, right?
But now you've got an extensive enough training model, right? Depending on like language, culture, gender, you have no issues with any voices?
So we trained on English, and then Martin spoke Danish to it and had his kid, make a lot of noise with toys, and it came out perfectly. But of course, if we are talking other types of languages, Mandarin, Vietnamese, tonal languages, we will train for that, and we can also train on different types of noises.
So you might have different training models in different regions, in other words.
Yes, and also for different type of purposes. For say, if we work with critical communication like firefighters, police, you have the wee, wee, wee in the background and noises you are not used to maybe normally. So we can cater for these. And what is important is also they work in highly noisy environments, right? So we are talking really very loud environments where we can go in and enhance voices.
Okay, got it. All right, I want to listen to the demo and I can describe what I'm experiencing. So first I'm going to listen to the version without denoising.
Speak here, and I know there's lots of noise.
Okay, and I can hear it. This is Eureka Park, which is amazingly loud, and I could hear all of it. Now I'm doing the enhanced version.
Speak here, and I know there's lots of noise in the background.
Yep, so I'm actually going to try doing it this way. I don't know if it'll work, but...
Speak here, and I know there's lots of noise in the background.
And now the enhanced version.
Speak here, and I know there's lots of noise in the background.
So in listening to this, it actually did a really great job taking care of this noise. The speech intelligibility was really, really good in the enhanced version. When do you actually expect this to be implemented in devices people can buy? What's your timeline?
So we have trials running now with emergency services. We are also having trials with sort of critical communication, firefighters, police, push-to-talk things. And in the next months, we're also running chipsets in earbuds. So it's like an evolving thing where we try and learn, get as much customer feedback as possible to figure out how can we improve this even further.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.
What you've seen so far will be software installed at the point of manufacturer. There are those working to implement an app store for hearables in the same way we have for phones today. This will separate software developers from the need to create hardware, expanding the innovation pipeline. People will be able to try and buy all kinds of applications for their hearables. As I've written earlier, I have no idea how the FDA and other regulatory agencies will handle it when people can load a hearing aid app from a completely different software company months after they buy their earbuds. Two companies are working on this today, Bragi and Sonical. I visited Sonical at CES. Even though it'll be a few years before a full app store is available, it's interesting to see where this line of development is going.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Mike Vartanian. I work here at Sonical, and today I'm going to show you the App Store ecosystem that is enabled by Sonical's Cosmos operating system. All right, so what we have here, our setup here consists of a few different parts. We have a tablet, which is kind of functioning as an application or a source for the audio. And over here we have two boards. We have our current chipset that we have our operating system running on. Right now this is an ST part, but Cosmos is a cross-platform operating system, so it will run on many different chips, ARM cores, Hi-Fi cores, etc. Right here we have a BLE development kit from Nordic that is going to be communicating with the tablet to get the apps from the App Store pushed down to the device.
And this is ultimately the silicon that'll run in here, correct?
Yes, yeah. Obviously this one's pretty large right here, but so this one's not actually geared for headphones, but we do have other chipsets that we support that are much smaller that will support.
Okay, so let's
devices.
see the kind of apps you're demonstrating here.
Yep. All right. So this is a simple dashboard that we created.
So ultimately, this would be a consumer-level user interface that would give them the ability to shop in an app store.
Exactly. So many of your OEMs will probably skin it with their own logos on it. Ultimately, we see this as being like a very open app store, independent of OEMs.
Okay, let's see the kind of apps that you've got in here for
Yeah.
sale.
So right here in our store, we have just kind of a handful of plugins. We have different ones such as spatializers, we have bass boost, personalization, different hearing protection. We have many partners working on many different applications. This is where we really do see the benefit of Headphone 3.0 is bringing in innovation from many different areas into the ear.
So right now you've got music personalization, you've got a hearing protection app, which is a loudness limiter essentially, correct?
Yep.
And then along the way you could have, somebody could write a speech from noise extraction algorithm.
Exactly.
You could have an OTC hearing aid algorithm, which is doing personalization of the microphones. All this is possible within this operating system. Correct?
Exactly.
Now what you've done is you've democratized access to the ear by allowing lots of different people to innovate with their software without necessarily having to worry about developing the corresponding hardware.
Exactly. You got it.
All right.
What we'll do is we'll go to the store, and our mock store here has some plugins available for us. First thing we'll do is we'll get that hearing protection one. We'll hit the Get It button, So right now, this plugin is somewhere in AWS land, and it's coming directly to the tablet via our hotel Wi-Fi connection, and then eventually it's going to be pushed to the actual chip running over BLE. So now if we go back to our main kind of interface, we now see that hearing protection app is loaded. And now we're going to go and we're going to try to download the spatialization. So this is actually a third-party company called Iden Audio that have some really great tech for spatialization, and they've ported their algorithm to our framework.
And so if I were to put the headphones on right now, I would be experiencing the hearing protection app. It's not loud enough in here to make it work, but I would actually have it running on the headset right now because you downloaded it from the App Store. What would you say here is your development timeline here? When do you actually expect to be to market in a headphone that consumers could buy? And that app developers, when will app developers be able to start developing for
So app developers can start right now, right? So we have about 10 to 15 plugin partners right now that are actively developing their plugins for this. We're talking to hundreds of other plugin developers. So yeah, we're available now. We have an SDK available. We have dev kits available that they can access now. We do anticipate actual end products available sometime this year. They're not going to have an open app store, but that same app store model can actually be employed by an OEM to get to market quicker. Right?
Yeah, so in the first iteration of the product, there'll be a selection of apps that will be available from the ODM itself.
Yep,
so
exactly.
They can actually have different models based on different features based on the apps that are plugged in.
Yeah, so compared to the current product development lifecycle, they don't actually have to do that porting exercise. If the plugin developers and the end product manufacturer are using the same framework, Cosmos operating system, it's going to literally be a drop-in. Right.
And so that'll run on closed ecosystem basis.
Yeah, it'll start closed.
But then an open ecosystem like an app store will follow.
That's correct. Yep.
Oh, terrific. Hey, thanks a lot for the demo. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
I've heard people say that the transition from analog to digital hearing aids caused a revolutionary improvement in treatment of hearing loss. I believe we are about to experience the next revolution in hearing care, regardless of exactly how these technologies emerge in both hearables and hearing aids. It is clear that we can look forward to a bright future in which more people around the world can access effective treatment at all levels of hearing loss. There's a lot of room for innovation, and I am excited to be part of helping people hear better in all situations. Thanks for joining me, and I'm happy to answer questions. You can also reach me afterward at AuraFuturity.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn.
好的，现在谢谢非常谢谢 Andy 给我们的分享。Andy 现在应该是已经上线了吧？让我看一下。OK，Hello，Hello Andy。
Hello, how are you?
Hi, great to see you finally. And Bo is also in here. Okay.
Hello, Bo, and thank you everyone for attending.
OK，Hello，我想非常谢谢刚才 Andy 给我们做了一个很精彩的一个分享。那么因为其实我们也知道说，其实这个对于这个新型的这个消费电子这些包括新的技术，它会如何去对抗这些 OTC 的产品？那我觉得 Andy 刚才给我们做了一个非常精彩的一个分享跟介绍。那我觉得第一个就是说，我觉得他提了一个很有意思的一个观点，就是说这其实也是我们一直在说到说。刻板印象其实是很多时候是很多轻度听损的用户，他们为什么不愿意去接受助听器的一个最主要的原因。那么，所以他也用了几个案例跟我们解释了一下，为什么这个刻板印象如果要用什么样的方式去消除它，比如他提到了万魔，还提到了安克，还提到了深海塞尔的最新的一款辅听的一个小耳机的产品。那么同时他后面还讲了3个 case， 就是用他 CES 的3个 case 的案例告诉我们他在 CES 看到了关于听力行业的一些技术的一些发展，这是我刚才看到的一些小总结的地方。Bo 这边你有没有一些可能想要跟 Andy 先聊的一些东西吗？然后我们看看小伙伴有没有想要发言的，可以举手或者是在留言区打字，我们等一下一起处理一下。
Yes,
Bo?
Andy, glad to see you here.
Thank you, Bo. It's nice to talk to you under circumstances. It was a complete surprise to be joined together with you, and I appreciate your help today.
Yeah. So I just have one question about how about this kind of a company who doing the noise reduction or voice enhancement? And how do you think about the power consumption? Hearing aid is really a low power consumption devices. So how they can solve the power consumption issues with with the process for the noise reduction? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. And I think because of it, you will start to see such noise reduction in consumer devices first. Because if you think about a hearing device that people will use in loud restaurants, it's fine to have 8 or 10 hours battery life. And if you're wearing earbuds, you have a little bit more room in there, meaning a bigger battery than a hearing aid. But the processors will continue to improve, as you know, and eventually the power consumption will become low enough for hearing aids that are worn for 18 hours a day with very small size. So first, consumer hearable devices or over-the-counter hearing aids in earbud form factor, and then later in hearing aids with very small form factor.
Okay. Yeah.
鲍，你可以帮忙做个简单的一个解释跟翻译吗？谢谢。
我刚才问了一个问题，就是这些刚才提到他的视频里提到好多这种降噪算法或者语音加强的这个算法，那我问的一个问题是这些公司如何平衡功耗跟这个算法算力的问题。对，这是我的问题。那 Andy 这边回答的话，他基本上认为说这些公司其实都有考虑到这个power consumption 的问题，然后他们也会在未来这些构架上来进一步的优化，然后在这个算力跟这个 power consumption 做出一个平衡，主要还是在算法构架和硬件构架上做一个优化。对。
OK， 所以我觉得这个话题 ，Yeah，OK，you go，you go。Thank
you. I just want to say that I also think that when Whitmem makes their presentation later on, they will have something to say about that as well.
Yes, right. 对，因为我刚才想要补充，就是因为BO 代表的是专用芯片，所以刚才那个习先生问的问题的话，就是比较关注在通用芯片啊，或者这一些新的技术上面，他怎么去处理功耗的问题。那我相信，等一下刚才再稍待一会儿，在木星的这个习先生的分享当中，其实就会说到他们公司在整个这个芯片的构架，包括在一些功耗上面是做得非常的优秀，所以我相信这个后面在木星的这个芯片上面还是可以承载我们刚才说到的很多的功能，都可以在上面做一些承载的一些作用。OK， 习先生，你这边还有什么其他的问题要问吗？
我没有，对。
Okay, I have one question. 我有个问题，我想问一下，就是说，因为我们知道，其实 Andrew 这边其实跟这个消费电子领域其实是有很多的一些连接。那么就是我们想知道，就是说，我们刚才也看到说，安可或者万摩他们都会在里面加了一个，比如说类似于叫辅听的这么一个小功能在里面。那么就是说，对于这些所谓的大的巨头，那么这些是不是他们真的有很强的意愿想要来增加这个功能去做，或者说这只是一个可有可无的功能？Okay, I will say in English again. Andy, because I know you are familiar with the consumer electronics audio device, you are familiar with the industry. So my question is that I have seen just now you have introduced some brand just like from One More or maybe the Anchor. They are having some earbuds there with the hearing enhancement function. So do you think this kind of big player, maybe you know in United States there are more consumer audio brand, will they be interested to add these functions in their earbud and maybe become a hot point, key point to more promote the market? Have you seen any player is ready to do this kinds of product?
I believe they are. I believe they are because, as I said in the video, it's just like another mode of ANC. So you can have ANC for the airplane, ANC for on the street, and noise reduction for the restaurant. And one company already JLab is doing many things. They have hearing protection, they have education, and they're limiting the volume for safe hearing, and they're also introducing OTC hearing aids. So I think the big consumer brands will now begin to move in just like JLab did.
OK，刚刚 Andrew 的一个回答就是说，因为其实我们可以对于消费电子来说，消费音乐节耳机来说，它可以把它当成是一个 ANC， 就是我们讲主动降噪，就是一种增加了一种新形式的主动降噪，就有点像深海塞尔在做的。他们就是就相当于说我增加了一个你在餐厅底下，然后我有一个 MC 的功能，能够保证你的言语，但是又把噪音压制掉。所以他觉得大品牌可以用这种方式来实现这个把这个听力的功能加进去。那么再提到说是否有一些大的品牌也参与进来在做这一块，他举了一个案例，我差点给忘记，就是那个 JLab， 因为这个 JLab 也是我今年才知道说，他们其实也算是全球好像也是 top 级的一个消费的一个无线音频耳机，一个无线音乐耳机的一个牌子。那么他们确实今年在 CES 上面有公布说他们想要也会出类似的这种 OTC 的产品。那么因为 JLab 他们一直以来的定价还是比较低的，那所以我相信可能对于美国市场可能也是会有一点点的一些影响的地方。OK，thanks Andy。OK，how to evaluate？ 我看观众有问了一个问题，但我不太清楚这个 how to evaluate the power consumption。这位观众的话，可不可以方便把这个问题可能稍微再补充一点点？我不太明白你这个 how to evaluate the power consumption， 大概特指是针对它里边说的哪一个产品吗 ？OK。And I have a questions too. Is that just now we're talking about the hearable product. 就是我们刚才说到的这个 hearable 这种可听话的产品的话，那我们想知道，如果这种产品在美国大概的定价会是多少钱？如果有支持这种辅听功能的产品，大概是多少钱 ？Okay, Andy, I have the second question for you. Yes, we know that now we are talking that some products they are ready to add a hearing enhancement. Maybe they will call it a ANC model or something. They will add a function inside. Do you think what's the marketing retail price they will set?
That is a very good question, because right now OTC hearing aid companies their prices are higher than consumer companies. I believe partly because they're putting the price lower than prescription hearing aids, but higher than consumer earbuds. But I think later consumer companies will start to have prices more like a high-end earbud. That is my guess, so that there'll be a high-end consumer earbud with noise reduction at a consumer price, on the high end of consumer price, but consumer price. This is my guess, but it is difficult to say at the moment with public data.
Yeah, right. Andy 也说，就是说，可能他的预测觉得说，可能还是会以一个比较高端的一个音频耳机的一个价格定价去做，他觉得可能这个是目前比较大的可能性，但是因为目前现在还没有很多的玩家在做这么一个价格，所以他可能很难做这样一个估算。OK， 我们看到了观众有一个问题 ，Andy, you can see from the screen there's one question for you. Can you help to answer? Can you see the question?
I can see the question from David Lee, and it's a very good question. I am excited about the big voice that OTC hearing aids are making, because then ordinary people for the first time are learning about hearing and how to address their hearing loss. I think OTC will have two positive impacts. One is that people with more moderate and getting closer to severe hearing loss will need amplification, and OTC gives them another way to have that amplification. The second is that in countries where there are insurance plans, they will not cover consumer devices, but they will cover OTC hearing aids because they're official. And so that will also help more people get hearing care.
OK，不，你你方面刚才有听到他的一个回答吗？因为我刚才听到的有一段，我稍微有点走神，因为他有一个觉得有个比较好的一个影响，就是说它会扩展一下大家对于这个产品的一个认识，这个就是对于这个助听的这个产品的一个认识，可以扩大它的一个面，因为这也是美国这个 FDA 法案当时通过的一个最主要的一个起点。就是因为考虑到它能够让更多的人可以更了解到这个产品的这种助听器产品对他们带来的一些好处跟帮助，这是我听到的一个部分。David， 你这边还有一些其他 ？OK， 不，你说，
对，大部分内容你 OK 的，就是增加了用户的这个使用专业助听器的可能性嘛，就是它开始有一个入门级的产品可以先体验到。
对，因为我相信可能就是会在整个就是其实目前现在市场上其实会有2种声音吧，就一种声音觉得说OTC 可能是万恶之源，觉得说可能会让用户一点都不愿意去尝试，因为有可能他尝试到了不好的产品，他可能会不愿意继续去做，不愿意继续去尝试，那所以反而更不愿意去佩戴助听器了。但是也有一种观点就认为说，就像刚才 Andy 说，它其实是可以让大家可以更好的去了解到说这个产品，因为像在刚才的 video 当中，它其实 Andy 也说到了，您看包括在安可或者万魔，就这些类似这种消费电子品牌，其实他们在宣传的时候都不会说，我这是一个听力补偿的东西，它更多可能讲我让你的这个聆听更个性化，或者说只要你做了一个听力的简单的这一个测试，做一些小调整的话，可以让你的聆听更舒服。所以说他们就是说消费电子会尽量用这种不刻板的这种一些话术、宣传话语去让用户愿意去来接受自己听力损失的这些问题。所以我觉得应该说 OTC 可能也有它的一些好的地方，只是说可能在从学术论文或者上面来说，可能还需要一些实践跟临床来验证看看，说这个产品是不是真的有想象中那么的好，或者有没有一些需要改进的地方，可以市场跟用户会告诉我们答案的。I think this is my opinion. 那个 David 又问了一个问题 ，Any suggestions on OTC device for functionality？ David， 你今天问的问题都很那个一针见血。Okay, Andy, there's another 2 questions for you. Second one question for you.
Okay, yes, I see any suggestions on OTC device about functionality. So what consumers seem to be saying is they want functions like music earbuds. When I see people offering hearing aids without Bluetooth connection, for example, it gets a lot of negative comments. Ultimately, we might see some different products. So a product that's for use in loud restaurants, maybe it doesn't need Bluetooth, but consumers seem to be saying they want all the functions in their earbuds, at least at the beginning. They seem hesitant to pay for an earbud if it doesn't have all the functions of a music earbud. But this market is very young, and it may be possible that one could sell a very small, comfortable device without advanced features just for hearing. But at the moment, it doesn't seem possible. We will see how the market develops.
OK，他这边讲的话，他也是说，可能一开始的话，就是说，其实我们大家都希望，可能产品会比较干脆，简单一点点。但是对于 OTC device， 尤其是如果你是借由音乐耳机去做的这么一个产品的话，那么消费者可能会更希望是说，在 OTC 耳机上面来说，可能功能会更全面一些，因为觉得可能会对得起这个价格但是未来就是说，到底大家怎么去理解这个功能到底需不需要再加这么多的功能，可能还是需要市场的检验，大概是这样一个意思。Andy, I agree with you. I know being a product management, we also often very feel confused when I want to plan the products. Do I need to add so many functions inside, just like the Bluetooth or rechargeable, or maybe the waterproof? So there are so many functions we need to add. But I think it still depends on what kinds of marketing and the emerging marketing also, or the consumer you are looking for. He will decide which function we need for the OTC hearing aid.
Yes, I agree with you. It will take a very good marketing campaign. For example, if I'm going to a loud restaurant, I'm not going to use Bluetooth. I'm talking with my friends in person. And so I would prefer something small and comfortable, but then that has to be explained to the customer that this device is going to be the very best in loud restaurants at a time when you don't need features that make it larger and less comfortable. But that is a very difficult message for the consumer who will be paying several hundred US dollars for a device and therefore expects it to be like AirPods.
Yeah. 对，Andy, I agree with you。因为我刚才就小讨论一下，就是说，如果作为一个产品经理，其实就像刚才那个 David，因为我知道你现在也是有点产品经理这个感觉，就是说会想说，我到底在产品上面要加什么样的功能，才符合我们的这一个定位。那实际上可能还是根据你想要卖给什么样的客户，包括一些定价来决定。可能还是要根据实际情况来看会更合适一些。像比如大家对于 AirPods Pro 或者对于其他产品，其实大家都有一些不同的要求跟那个一个情况的。这个就说到我们前几天应该是那个港大他们有搞了一个听力学的一个论坛，在会谈上面我也是问了一个问题，我说对于 OTC 助听器到底消费者能不能满意？那其实我当时就说了一个点，就是说 OTC 助听器可能能解决从0到10的问题，但是专业助听器能解决从0到100的问题，或者是0到80。那所以说可能还是要根据顾客的需求，顾客他对于这个价位的产品有什么样的需求，那么所以说才能反倒推回来告诉我们说我们的产品应该是做到什么样的一个状态。所以我感觉也是一个没有一个正确答案的这么一个事情吧。这是我的一点小小的一个意见。那个我想问一下那个习先生，你对于我们刚才讨论这个 OTC 的这个方选这边，你有没有一些你的一个见解？
基本上我觉得我看到的跟 Andy 类似，就是大家对于无线的功能，包括它的佩戴的这种所谓的刻板性，市场上都是有要求的。但是有的时候也会带来一些问题，比如说蓝牙性能增加以后，然后这种功能增加以后，其实很多佩戴者他使用上是非常的不习惯的，就是特别是对于一些年龄比较高的老年人来看的话，它的操作是相当复杂的。特别是产品，我们看到有些产品做的并不稳定，然后经常会断，或者说切换不顺畅的话，导致了客户很多的客诉，这个也是要非常考虑的问题。
Yes, right, you are right。对，那个 Bo 也说了一个非常好的观点，就是说，有时候追求功能的情况下，如果质量没有做好，那其实这个问题还是蛮大的。因为如果是一个助听器，它的最优先 priority 的话，还是要解决听的问题。所以说，可能其他的功能还是要稍微放的后面一点点，这样会比较 OK 一点。OK， Andy, this is the third questions about the power consumptions。他问的是关于一个就是这个功率功耗的一个问题，就像助听器的电池的使用时间是否有一些 common 的标准，就有一些通用的标准去 specify 去定义它。Bo 这个东西你会了解吗？还是 Andy？Bo 你先说一下，你了解这个吗？
其实据我了解没有一个标准，目前我的认知范围内是没有一个标准，但是基本上在行业的常规的话，大概希望是至少是在2毫安以内，2毫安以内。那大部分的用户都是这种客户的，我们的客户做整机的话，基本上是在1到2毫安这样一个 power consumption 的一个标准。对。
Okay, so Andy, what's your opinion? Bob just say 2 million is okay. What's your opinion?
On power consumption?
Yeah.
So my opinion about the power consumption, I see Glenn asked if there's a common standard to specify it. And really, when I look at consumer products, they're all giving lifetimes, and sometimes they give battery life under different circumstances. For example, one company might say 8 hours without ANC and 6 hours with ANC turned on. Other companies will give their hours with and without Bluetooth turned on. And so I think this is more or less up to the consumer company to accurately describe their battery life. Of course, when people review the products, they will test the battery life and make sure that the claims are true.
OK，所以恩迪刚才是说到这个可能还是有一些品牌方的这个标称不一样，有的会标比如说8小时 ANC 不带 ANC， 有的是6小时这个带 ANC， 所以可能还是一个确实这个确实是没有一个国标的一个说法，包括我们看到在那个 FDA 的，不管是对于传统的助听器，或者是 OTC 助听器，或者是 PSAS 的标准规范上面，其实都我印象中是没有这么一个规定的。因为如果你真的功耗太高的话，其实消费者也不会太认可这样的产品，所以这个东西可能确实去规范的意义可能不太大，可能还是在功率上面、争议上面做一些规范可能会合适一些。I think 是还有小伙伴有问题吗 ？David， 你要不要上线来那个连个麦问个问题？给你3秒钟，如果没有的话，那我们就要结束这一趴的环节，进入下一趴了。David 有没有问题 ？OK， 那我们就先结束这一趴吧。Okay, thank you, Andy. Thank you for your time. I know it's very early so that you wake up and join our webinar. And I think we have got some good questions and have some graphic discussions. Okay, so it's our pleasure to have you and hope can see you next time in China or in another place. And thank you for your time.
And thank you. Please thank everyone who attended. I appreciate their joining me today. And it's been a pleasure to join you all this morning in USA time.
Yes, thank you. Andy 说非常感谢今天那个一起来聆听他的演讲的这一些那个小伙伴那么也希望如果后面大家有关于就是说美国这个 OTC 的，或者是说在美国这个消费电子这边有一些问题的话，可以跟他联络，因为他本身也是一个咨询公司的顾问，那么所以有需求的话可以跟他进行一个联络。那么的话，我们关于 Andy 的演讲的话就到这一部分结束。Thank you, Andy. 谢谢你 Andy。OK， 那我们 move to。Thank
you both. Thank you for helping with the questions, and good luck on your presentation, which I will be watching now and translating later.